Yes, yes. Usually part of my job was product development, and I spent a lot of time in China, starting from the scratching board and working towards doing a prototype. And a lot of prototypes get scratched, you know.
Yeah.
But every time I'm there, I'm reviewing new technology, I'm reviewing new features, I'm reviewing new innovations, reviewing new aesthetics, reviewing stuff specifically targeted for the US market.
Okay.
Now, obviously, initially we had the initial Burke line production range, and they had about 8 chairs that they were that was in their lineup that we took on, and so we had that basis to play on and add on top of that.
Right.
So, on what I think going forward for Cozzia is every year we'll try to introduce anywhere around 2 to 3 new models, but it's not something I don't want to do something whereas I get introduce a new model and suddenly all the old models become irrelevant
Right.
because it's not like that. And what I'm trying to do is trying to find a way to open up additional channels or additional markets or find a specific need in my lineup which I currently don't cater to and add that on. So.
Now, I know you do cancel models as well. I know when I first started with you, which is just a couple of months
Yep.
ago or a few months ago, I think there were 6 models that I was privy to carrying, but shortly thereafter 2 were canceled. How long do you
Yep.
let a product run before you realize, the numbers aren't supporting this model? How long do you usually wait to make a decision like that?
Usually we'll have a 8 to 12 month cycle to really know that that product is really going to work in the market or not. And when I say 8 to 12 months, we'll keep stock of up to 18 months, to 20 months for that stock to make sure that we cover the people that we need to cover
Hmm.
for. But the numbers really tell us whether that model is working or is not working. And those were just some of the old models from the Burke line lineup that wasn't working so well. So we decided to just inform people, have to let people know that there's a specific time frame that they can continue selling this model.
Yeah.
Once that model is done, we'll have a replacement that we feel will cater better for the market. So,
Okay, now here's a question for you, and I run into this with other massage chair companies. You discontinue a model, how interchangeable are the parts? So let's say you've got a person that bought a chair, 5 years
yep,
down the road they've got a problem. The chair's long since been discontinued.
yep.
Are they still going to be able to get parts, or are they going to have to upgrade completely to a new model?
We will get it packed. Usually, we stock parts in the warehouse in California up to 5 years
Okay.
ourselves. So models that have been discontinued, we will be carrying parts. And the second thing is, even if it's beyond the 5 year period of frame, because we are the manufacturer, it's not complex for us to get parts that are specifically catered towards a very old model, and we can
Okay.
specially order those parts from our facility in China. Obviously, it's going to it'll take a longer cycle, so
Right.
it might take anywhere from 60 to 90 days to get the parts because it's such an old model that we don't have in stock in America. But we can do that for the account or for the
Okay.
customer to be on the 5 year chair
Yeah,
because
that's
we're pretty integrated in terms of factory. So if you look at the actual core components of a massage chair, from the actuators, which is like the right reclining motors, we make those ourselves. We'll make the own circuitry boards. We make our own remote controllers. We have our own tooling, injection manufacturing facilities. We even produce our own foam, and we do our own stitching, cutting, and sewing. The whole works. We have our own steel um, factory that does the structure of the chair. So, we have all the basic information that if we need to pull it out from the drawing board to put it back onto a line for a special case for a customer, we'll be able to do that.
So you just have to whip out the old molds and
Yep,
fire up the old assembly line, and you can recreate that part that needs to be done. Well,
yep,
that's good to know. That's an issue I have dealt with a number of times. I've been in the business only about 10 years, but in that time I've seen many models come and go, and I've seen a lot of
yep,
frustrated customers as a result of it. So I think that the fact that you have that intimate link between the manufacturer and the manufacturing plant in China and the distribution arm in the United States, I think that really serves you well, and will obviously serve the customers well.
hmm
Now, you were mentioning the chairs that are sold in the U.S. Are Cozzia chairs sold all over the world?
yes. Basically, we have a facility that produces about 400. to 500 chairs a day.
Wow.
And apparently we actually have orders of up to 600 chairs a day, so it's beyond our factory's capacity at the moment. So we're actually investing more money into bringing our massage factory more robotics orientated as opposed to labor intensive. But we have, for example, in China, we have over 200 retail locations selling under not under the Cozzia brand, but under the Ogawa brand, which is also owned by the factory. So they have their retail locations in China, over 200. We have our own branding. Wow. Japan, selling kind of a lower end massage chairs, and obviously we have the Cozzia brand in America, and then we also do a lot of OEM, ODM manufacturing for customers throughout Europe, in Southeast Asia, and also Australia.
Wow! So this is pretty big operation here.
It's a really good size operation. We actually write the export standards for the Chinese government on massage chairs. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not know that.
No. So we actually write the standards. So all chairs that are produced in China that need to be exported outside of China, the standards is written by us.
Wow.
So we're a public listed company in the Shenzhen Stock Exchange. So if anybody is interested to search for Shaman Comfort Science and Technologies, that's the group name. Then underneath the group, you'll have different brands like East Pal, Ogawa, Cozzia, that all falls under different brands of the factory.
Wow.
And also, we did a case study in terms of just the electronic massage as a whole, so including like small products that are shipped out. I think in the US, about 67%, I think was a correct figure, of electronic massage products comes out from our facility in China.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know it was such a permeative company. I didn't know they were all over the place like that. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you offer kind of a lower cost brand option in Japan, and when Cozzia first came to market here, my immediate impression of it was this is a low cost option for the American market that wasn't really being catered to effectively. There were some companies that had a low cost, like in the sub $2,000, sub $1,500 price range, but there was not a line that specifically addressed that. And is that fair to say that was kind of your target when you first began here?
Yes. When we first started off in the US, we started off at the sub $3,000 range. So we had initially a line that was $3,000 below. And then based on that starting point, we realized our best-selling chair was our most expensive chair.
Yeah.
So then that gave us a reason to continue to move up on the price points online. So as you probably saw that our newest chair, the 618, the 3D 0G chair, that's at a $4,000 price point, which is now our best-selling chair.
Really?
I think what we wanted to do with Cozzia was to have innovative products, which was basically getting the best technology available out there. And since we're the factory direct, you're also getting the value there as well. Right. So we have our own after-sales service team set up in the US, unlike other factories, which is strictly just shipping the product out from China, and then it's up to the distributor to handle this service. We handle our servicing ourselves. And then we are genuinely trying to be market leaders in terms of the technology aspect. And secondly, we design chairs specifically for the US market, as opposed to taking something that sells in Southeast Asia and then trying to sell it in America. So
I see. Now, your method of distribution here in the US, I understand it and I see what you're doing with it. Some of it I don't really like because it does affect me directly, but you have an online distribution plan and an offline or brick and mortar distribution plan. Now I'm both. I'm online and offline, but I've been precluded from having having the offline brick and mortar models because I'm kind of superseded by another company here in Utah that's much bigger than me. And so could you explain a little bit about your strategy and the reasoning behind it?
Yes. As we're relatively new to the market, our initial business was always been brick and mortar focus orientated. So they were the first customers that we were taking care of. Those are going to the retail stores to take a look at the Cozzia branded chair. Now going down the line, which you'll see as we're beginning to gradually expand on the Cozzia lineup and finessing the Cozzia lineup, is that we'll have a lineup of chairs specifically targeted for the retail segment. And the online business, which I know is a growing business, and down the line in the future is probably going to be a significant part of Cozzia's business, that we'll have a separate business lineup in terms of we'll have a lineup of chairs specifically for the retail-based business, and we'll have a different lineup of chairs for the online retail lineup. And I think we're able to do both ways, because I think in terms of the sales and marketing side, I think online retail sales is a complete different business model from brick and mortar retail sales, and it has a different kind of method in terms of promoting a chair, getting the message across, as opposed to whereas a traditional brick and mortar relies on the sales associate to bring people in to sit on the chairs. Yeah. So, we're at the stage where we're beginning to work on a lineup for the online-based business. Obviously, we're not finalized, we're not ready yet, but we're getting there to have a lineup specifically that you'll see online, and the online community will be able to buy that chair online, and they won't see that at a brick and mortar, whereas brick and mortar have their chairs specifically for brick and mortar, which won't be online.
Yeah.
That way, I think it'll be kind of a level playing field for both sides.
Well, yeah, and but like this 618, this new model you have, I get a lot of inquiries about it, but I can't carry it. It's not something I put on my site. But and so I understand where you're coming from as far as giving the brick and mortar people their unique selling proposition, so to speak, and not having to compete with the online retailers. Of course, it seems as though and this is just my own beef. I have a brick and mortar store, but I cannot carry some of those chairs because there's other brick and mortar stores that are bigger or that have maybe a signed exclusive deal for this area, and I can't compete with them. But I'm sure that over time those things will get worked out, and maybe you'll have similar models that I can carry online or in my store that aren't exactly like the one in the bigger retail stores. But so I kind of see where you're going with the setup, and I think it's a good idea the way you're doing it, even though I don't like the way it's affecting me in some degree. But I do agree. I can see where you're coming from, and I totally get it, and I think it's a decent strategy. And you don't have to comment on that. I'm just expressing my own issue with it. But now, tell me about. Tell me about your customer support with Cozzia. Usually I'll get a phone call or an email from someone that says, I got this chair and from whatever company, and boy, I can't get through, or I've got to ship the chair back to them if I want to get it fixed, or no one returned my calls, and sometimes I get that with the companies that I do carry, and I only carry the companies I do because I know they've got decent customer support. Now, your customer support, I haven't heard anything. I haven't received any feedback on negative customer support experiences, which is probably good news. No news is good news. But maybe you could tell me a little bit about how your customer support works aftermarket. You alluded to it briefly before in our conversation here, but tell me a little bit about how that works.
Okay, simple analogy is there's a 1-800 number that anybody calls. So you can get that 1-800 number on the Cozzia product that you purchase, which is on the instruction manual, or it's on our Cozzia website. Or you can even send an inquiry or a service order on the Cozzia website. So there's 3 methods of contacting, or sending us a fax. So there's a fax, there's a 1-800 number as well, or a online service request form. So when you call us Cozzia, it goes to an automated message where there's four options you can choose between: sales, general inquiries, specific personnel, or servicing. So say if you select servicing, it goes to our service department, and our service people will handle the servicing call. Now, with our massage chairs, which I think is unique compared to any other competitor in the field, it's kind of like an automobile. When there's something wrong with the chair, on the remote controller, it will flash like a 0, 1 up to a 16, a number on the actual remote controller. So it will tell you Actual customer won't know what's wrong with the chair, but if it's flashing that number, when they call our customer service people, and our service people will ask them, if there's a specific number showing the controller, we'll know automatically if there's something wrong with the electronic boards, if there's something wrong with the rolling motor, if there's something wrong with the 3D electronics board on the 618 or anything like that. So it helps us to handle our servicing a lot more quicker and more efficient. So we're able to send out the correct parts. We're able to organize a technician then to go over to the customer's home. And usually what happens is we get the information from the customer, we send out the parts directly from our warehouse, our distribution center in California, to the customer's home. Then we call our tech, which is a third-party technician service that we use, and say the parts are there, already on their way. Here's the tracking number. This is the person that's requiring the service. Contact them within these hours. They usually contact them within 48 hours of after we provide the information to them, and then they will schedule a specific time when it's convenient for the customer to allow them to come do work on their chair. So that happens with all our warranty. Now, obviously, there are cases where if somebody lives up in North Dakota and it might take a lot longer for a technician to go out, then we will analyze that situation case by case, and we might just send a freight company to deliver a new chair and pick up the old one. So usually, we have a set warranty. If it's brand new out of the box and there's something wrong with it, we'll just pick it up and replace it with a new chair. Standard warranty, obviously, is 1 year, full coverage in terms of labor, and then the second year it's parts only, so we'll charge for the labor in the second year. The labor is in-home service. There's no out-of-pocket cost for the customer, so the parts is inclusive of freight cost. We send a technician out to repair. When they give us a call, there's always our personnel that answers the issue, and with the system that we designed, it's a relatively streamless phone conversation. So
yeah, that sounds good. It sounds very